keeping conniving cats off kitchen counters, protecting your brain from government brainwashing, and oh yeah, you can wrap your leftover food in it. Aluminum foil is a staple in just about any kitchen, but how did it get that way? And how did using aluminum foil help America win a world war? It's a story that didn't happen overnight. Although it would be pretty awesome if there was an aluminum Santa who snuck a bunch of foil rolls into people's kitchen drawers every year. So, let's talk about it. Not the aluminum Santa, but the real history of the foil. A story over a century in the making. To start, we have to talk about aluminum's father, who aluminum foil is often mistaken with, and had to fight against to become the modern staple: tinfoil. Tinfoil predates aluminum by about 20 to 30 years, first being commonly used around the late 19th century. Through all my research, it isn't clear when or where exactly tinfoil first came about, but the why is clear. Tin offered many of the same properties that aluminum foil does now. Extremely malleable, able to seal off food while it's being cooked, and many other properties. It was for these reasons that tinfoil dominated the early 20th century, and people ate it up. Tinfoil had a huge usage, was advertised heavily. It was the staple of America's kitchens, and because of this, it's the reason why today still people call it tinfoil instead of aluminum. A common mistake similar to calling modern pencils lead pencils. While tinfoil was dominating, aluminum foil was just being born. Starting first in 1825, scientists had been discovering and improving the process of electrolysis, which pure aluminum could be extracted from naturally occurring aluminum oxide. Aluminum was the new element on the block, with scientists and businessmen alike looking to see what it could fully do. One of these applications happened to be industrial welding, out in Switzerland, where our story heads to next. At the foot of the Rhine falls Schaffhausen, Switzerland. This is the home of an industrial rolling plant run by a businessman, Robert Victor Nahar. In December 1907, Nahar invented and trademarked the endless rolling process to produce metal sheets at a much more efficient rate. This was a boon for the manufacturing industry, and what he also noticed with this process is that aluminum foil could be used as a protective barrier for the metal sheets as they rolled through the machinery. Seeing the potential of the foil in the industrial world, Nahar did what any good businessman would, and opened a rolling plant dedicated to aluminum foil production in 1910, east of Schaffhausen and Kreuzingle, if I'm pronouncing that right. Very quickly, aluminum foil found usage everywhere. In just a few years after Kreuzingle sites began operation, out of Bern, Switzerland, the chocolate company Tobler began wrapping its signature triangular candy in aluminum foil, which is still the case today. Over in the States, Lifesavers began using aluminum foil to package its candy in 1913. The reason for this transition? Taste. See, there was one major difference between tin and aluminum. While tin rubbed off to create a tinny aftertaste with its cans and foils, aluminum left virtually no aftertaste, making it the ideal choice for foods. Richard S. Reynolds is the next businessman we come to. In the 1920s, as aluminum prices decreased, Reynolds Wrap transitioned from a tin to aluminum for their product, a move that offered a huge boost in profits. While the war between tin and aluminum foil carried on, an interesting development happened in 1940. Reynolds, after a large turkey dinner on a good Thanksgiving evening, had the idea to wrap his leftovers in aluminum foil, so that it would not dry and be ready to eat the next day. And this worked, only adding ammunition to the war, Reynolds Wrap marketing this feature heavily. And speaking of war, World War II had plunged the earth into conflict. It was brutal abroad and at home in the States. Everything was scarce and being reused for the war efforts. One of the most critical resources in these efforts was tin. Imperial Japan controlled 70% of the world's tin production, which just so happened to be the main component in bullets. Not an ideal spot if you're the US. To combat this, the US started tin drives, recycling each and every piece of tin available from cans to foil, and reduced production of these goods. This was the proverbial nail in the coffin for tinfoil, sealing aluminum as the winner for the future, which did not suffer from the same restriction of use. And that's what brings us to today. Tinfoil is a relic of a different era, while aluminum foil reigns supreme. Aluminum was always destined to win its battle with tin, but World War II was the push needed. It's one of those cases where sometimes something tragic as war forces transitions to occur that otherwise would have taken much longer to have been spurred on. So, no, there's no aluminum Santa, but I hope you found the journey of aluminum foil interesting. I'll see you all next Thursday for a new video. Till then, thanks for watching.